Welcome in the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are getting you ready for the NBA Thursday slate, the Wednesday college basketball slate, and you can't teach that. Bada boom, man, the people in the room. How you doing, Grant?
Doing pretty good, Tanner. It's Wednesday. We're getting closer to the return of the NBA, which makes me happy. I know that you had a real heartbreaker, but it wasn't just you. Pretty much all of America was on UConn the other night, and it was actually Creighton that ended up coming out on top of that one.
Well, it wasn't really a heartbreaker. Like, kind of knew the whole game. It was done. But like people are like, oh, fade UConn, fade the public. Well, Creighton had never beat a number one seed. UConn had never had, it's like 0-21 or something against ranked teams on the road. I don't know what the deal is, but it was a tough one to watch. The Huskies did not show up. Donovan Clayton got into foul trouble early, and Creighton literally made everything. Like, I'm not super mad about it because they were never really in the game. Like, they made a run at the end, but it was literally just Creighton making three-pointer after three-pointer. They shot 50% from the three-point line. Like, you can't do anything about that. If they're doing that, you're not going to win.
Yeah, those nights just happen in college basketball sometimes. It's weird because you would think that it would be the NBA because they're better up there, but it happens in college. Like, there are just these nights where random teams. I can remember my team, Virginia Tech. We played Penn State. Penn State. They finished the year well under 500, and there was a time where they set, I think, a program record for threes. I think they made like 21 or 22 and shot 60% from three. Just happens sometimes.
Yeah, I want to read the stats because I'm still angry about it. It was kind of like by the end of the game when they were making like three-pointers with UConn in their face, 4 feet behind the three-point line. It was wild. All right, so the team stats. You ready for this? Creighton, it's not like UConn played terribly. They were very bad from the three-point line. I will say that. They only shot 18%. They were 3 of 16. Creighton was 14 of 28 from three. They shot 54% from the field overall. UConn was a little better from the free throw line. Assist-wise, Creighton had 18. UConn had 8 points in the paint. UConn did dominate there. They had 40. That's what I'm saying. Like, if Creighton and UConn play 10 times, UConn's going to win 8 of them, I imagine. Like, UConn's a much better team, but they can't. When you're shooting 18% from the three-point line and Creighton's shooting 50%, there's nothing you can do about it.
Speaking of shooting 18% from the 3-point line, hey, I said to go with UVA against Virginia Tech. Did you see what happened in that one?
Yeah, that was they didn't score for like 8 minutes or something.
Yeah, if UVA did not score, no, sorry, if Virginia Tech did not score for the final 18 and a half minutes, they still would have won. That's a pretty mind-boggling stat. That's the third worst loss that UVA has had in the Tony Bennett era. They went 2 of 12 from three, 16.5%, 32% from the field. They lost 75-41. That thing was not even close. And it's just ironic timing because by far Virginia's worst game of the year, by far Tech's best game of the year. And it just happens sometimes. Like, same thing with the threes. It just kind of plays out like this sometimes. It's hard to predict things like that.
Yeah, it's college kids. Stupid college kids.
And what can't college kids do, Tanner?
Make free throws.
Exactly.
Make free throws. They all can't make free. Even Creighton last night, who was fantastic from the 3-point line, they still can't make free throws. They would have made free throws. They would have won by even more. But UConn did make a little run at the end. Hurley's like, if we can get it to 10 points under 4, we're going to give ourselves a chance. We got a chance. He's screaming this, like CBS is showing it. Then they got the graphic. Okay, at 18 minutes, it was this. At 16 minutes, it was this. At 14 minutes, the deficit was this. And then they got it to 10 at 4:20. Then they took a timeout. Or somebody took, I think Creighton took a timeout, and then they got beat by 19, 18, 20. I don't know what it was. I turned it off.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it just happens sometimes. UConn's still a very good team. They're the favorites to win March Madness right now. They're like, what'd you say, plus 120, plus 125 to even make the Final Four?
Yeah.
Yeah, so people still got a lot of respect for UConn. I do too. We'll see how far they can go. But the odds are, even despite what the odds makers might say, the odds are probably against them going back-to-back in March Madness.
Has anyone ever done it? I don't think anyone's, maybe once.
I will find you a full list of teams.
There's been very few that have gone back-to-back, if any, right?
Teams to go back-to-back in March Madness. The most recent team was Florida.
Florida.
I believe that's like 02-03. No,
yeah.
Sorry. No, so it's 06-07 actually. You had them in 06-07. You had Duke in 91-92. Then you have some of the older UCLA teams, and then you start getting to the older days like Cincinnati, San Francisco, those guys.
Yeah, so not a lot of teams going back to back. But anyways, Grant, we're going back to back with the good shows today from Monday. That was a good segue into our first pick of the day. Do you want to start with the NBA or should I start with college basketball?
As you start, because it's only fitting. We've been talking about college basketball up to now. You go.
All right. So looking at this game tonight, Dayton versus George Mason. This should be a very interesting game. But Dayton overall, just a 2.5-point favorite, minus 140 on the money line. This is the exact same spot that UConn was in last night as a road team who's better as a 2.5-point favorite. So I'm a little hesitant, but I do like Dayton based on the KenPom rankings. They are a much, much better team. Let's see some numbers here for Dayton. Dayton is the 24th ranked team in the KenPom rankings. They are 20th in adjusted offense. They are 56th in adjusted defense. Looking at George Mason tonight, George Mason is 96th overall, 92nd in adjusted offense, and 107th in adjusted defense. So they might have the home court advantage. It means something, but overall, this Dayton team is just a little bit better than them. The basic stats, they actually match up pretty well, but overall, when you look at efficiency, Dayton has been much better, winning 4 of their past 5 games. George Mason has won 2 of their past 5. They have won 2 straight, but still, I'm going to bank on Dayton getting the job done. 11-2 in the conference, 21-4 overall, and the 16th ranked team in the country. Deron Holmes has been fantastic this season, 20 points per game, 8 rebounds, 55% from the field. Big forward. I don't see George Mason having an answer for him tonight. When you look at George Mason, their leading scorer, Keyshawn Hall, he's been good overall, only a sophomore, big guard as well, 6'7" guard. He's going to match up down low, but at the same time, too, he's young, he's inexperienced. I like Dayton, more experienced team, better team, more driven, find a way to win tonight.
Yeah, Mason, it's not just 2 wins in their last 5. I think they're 17-8 on the year, but they're actually 4-6 over the last 10 games. So not playing their best basketball recently. You mentioned Deshaun Hall and their second leading scorer, Darius Maddox, have been pretty good. But Amari Kelly has had some foul trouble recently. Looking at his recent games, he goes 16 points against GW, 1 against Davidson, 12, and then 3. And the 1 and the 3 was because he got into foul trouble. So big thing for him is going to be staying out of foul trouble in this one. That could play a big role in this.
Definitely. So hopefully they can win. I mean, I got a little hesitation. 2.5-point favorite as a better team on the road. I'm a little scarred last night from UConn, but hopefully the mid majors can cash me out.
Yeah, the Mason's probably about like 15 minutes away from me. Maybe I'll go catch the game.
You should go. That'd be fun. I always want to go to now that Grant, this is a top 25 team too at Dayton, but it's still mid-major basketball overall. And I always wanted to go sit courtside a mid-major game and just absolutely hammer it.
I was pretty young. I mean, I wasn't a baby, but I was a little kid when Mason went on that Final Four run, and that's what got Jim Larinaga, ultimately really boosted his profile. And I wish that I would have been older and actually went to some of the games, because that would have been electric to see George Mason go on a Final Four run.
They beat UConn that year, I think, on their way to the Final Four. They had a couple good years where they beat UConn, one of them, I remember.
Yeah, I mean, the Virginia teams have not disappointed. VCU went on a Final Four run. I actually saw one of their games that year. It wasn't in the tournament, obviously, because they aren't played at home. But I did see one of those games. But yeah, I've been spoiled. Some random Virginia teams have actually been pretty good in the tournament.
There you go. All right, Grant. NBA is back almost tomorrow night. Give it to me.
Yeah, so I'm going to start off with the Dallas Mavericks at -3 at home against the Phoenix Suns in this one. Big reason for this is Bradley Beal is going to be injured. I actually haven't got his status confirmed, but I do believe he is out. Go check the injury report before tip-off. The Suns were awesome with their full starting lineup of Beal, Durant, Booker, and then Nurkic and Grayson Allen. They had an offensive rating of 130, which was the 4th highest in the league. But again, with Beal coming out of here, if he is going to miss this game, then it just throws them back into limbo. Not that Durant and Booker can't get the job done on their own, but they go from nearly impossible to guard to difficult to guard. And when you're going up against Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, it's exactly the same thing going the other way. These are 2 guys who nobody in the world can slow down in isolation. So I think you're going to see those 2 lock horns in that sort of sense. And then I just like some of the moves that the Mavericks made at the trade deadline. I think I talked about it on the show, but I love the way that Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington fit this team. They provide defense, Gafford being a rim protector, Washington being more of a help side weak side defender at the rim who can also switch out. Both are going to be great screening partners. Washington can pop. Gafford's a good rolling lob threat and has a little short hook to him. I just like the way that the Mavs are looking right now in those few games we saw with their new lineup. And then also the break, I feel like it's going to slow down the Suns because they had built up so much momentum. But again, with the injury and that break, I feel like Dallas is about to go on a run here. And I think they're going to be able to start it at home on Thursday.
Yeah, and the break's probably good for Luka too, because he needed a break. He doesn't like basketball.
I thought you were going to say because he has such a high usage rate and they depend on him so much.
No, well, yeah, that's true, but like he also doesn't like basketball, so he needed a little time away. Like the All-Star game, that was a joke for him. Now he got a few days off. He's ready to go. He should be locked in. He should be ready for the second half, which isn't even a half of the season. It's like it's a little sprint.
You know what's funny about Luka too? I saw like I think it was a it was a Luka fan page, and they were comparing him to like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And they said something like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has never had a 33, 9, and 8 game in his life. If Luka put up 33, 9, and 8, all of his averages would drop. That's pretty wild.
No, Luka's fantastic. Like he just doesn't like basketball that much. Him and Jokic don't really like basketball.
I think Luka does. I think he's a bit more of a, like I think Luka loves the game of basketball. I really do. Jokic, I'm honestly questioning. I think they were just messing around at All-Star, which isn't
it's a job. It's a job for him. In the end of the day, like they might love basketball. It's still a job. I don't know. Anthony Rendon said like in baseball, he was basically like, this is like to like feed my family. Like this is secondary to everything I do. It's just a job basically. And like, you get it. Like it is for us, a lot of these guys, it is just a job playing professional sports.
Yeah, but at the same time, we don't want to hear that, man. We really don't. When you're getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars, and like, I mean, being on the Angels like Rendon is, like you're with someone like Mike Trout, who is as bought in as there possibly could be. We're definitely not trying to hear that.
Nah, you gotta be locked in. Don't say it. Like a lot of guys think it. Just don't say it and play hard because you're making a ton of money.
And you can say it like, my family if you're religious, my faith, those are always going to be the two most important things to me. Okay, I get that. But don't say, hey, if anything comes up, I'm walking out the door. I don't really want to be here anyway. That's when I start to have a problem with it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, second college basketball pick for Wednesday night. We got the Duke Blue Devils, 8th ranked team in the country, going on the road to face the Miami Hurricanes. Hurricanes coming in at 15-11 here. They have lost 4 straight games. Some tough teams over this stretch, UNC and Virginia, to name a couple of them, but they had a perfect get-right spot. Not necessarily perfect, I should say. They were on the road, but they faced BC in their last game, lost by 8 points. There is nothing special about the Boston College basketball program. So tough stretch right now for Miami. Duke has won 4 of their past 5 games. Comparing that BC common opponent, they won by 15 points on February 10th there. Duke's just a better basketball team on offense and defense, scoring a little more per game, giving up a little less, very efficient. And when you look at the KenPom rankings too, Duke is the 12th ranked team in the country, 12th in adjusted offense, 25th in adjusted defense. You can't say the same thing about the Miami Hurricanes. They are 78th overall, 68th in adjusted offense, and 111th in adjusted defense. So while they are on the road tonight, 5.5 points just is not going to be enough, in my opinion, for Miami to cover in this one. I think Duke laying 5.5 is pretty, not a slam dunk home run bet because they're on the road, but it's the right side of the line, in my opinion. Kyle Filipowski has been fantastic for Duke this season, 17 points, 8.3 rebounds, 49% from the field. And they also have guys like Tyrese Proctor, who's been doing well, getting the ball down low to Filipowski with the assist game. So I think this is going to be a big game for Filipowski and one that Duke should win pretty easily and find a way to cover.
Yeah, Miami's been pretty disappointing. I mean, I think we all expected them to take a step back. I don't think anybody thought they were going to go to the Final Four again. But you look at some of the dudes on their roster, ironically, Norchad Omir's been probably their best player. Nigel Pack was the most expensive player in the transfer portal a couple of years ago, and he's really not showing any improvement, even though he's, one of the more experienced players on this team. Matthew Cleveland is good, but wildly inconsistent. Could he and Pack have great games here? Sure, but Duke has been the more consistent team. Shire's been doing a great job with that crew. So yeah, I think looking at Duke is the right play here. Betting on home in conference underdogs against ranked teams has been kind of profitable, but I still think you do have to go with Duke.
Yeah, it's definitely been profitable. We see it a lot, but I just can't. The difference in the Ken Palm and the difference in how these teams have played as of late, it's like I just can't see taking 5.5 points with Miami. Maybe 8.5. Can't do 5.5.
Yeah, I understand that. I was probably thinking this. I was thinking 7.5 was about my line, so I'm with you on that one. Also, take it on over to the NBA, and I believe this is the final pick of the show here. I'm gonna go with the Los Angeles Lakers at +4.5 on the road against the Golden State Warriors. Again, this is on Thursday, so this is obviously another classic installment of the LeBron Curry rivalry, which isn't even it's a rivalry by far, but it's also kind of not between these two. Like we see the mutual appreciation between one another every time they face off. And honestly, it's just going to be fun basketball to watch. You look at what the Lakers have been able to do recently. They've won 4 of their last 5 meetings with the Warriors. The Warriors really gave them everything they could handle earlier this year. I believe that game went to triple overtime. The Lakers still found a way to win that one. Now, I know the Warriors were playing their best basketball going into the break, but you can say maybe – I don't know if the Lakers were playing their best basketball because they did win the in-season tournament and did look like a top 5 team at one point, but they are playing pretty good. Think they've won 6 of the last 7 games. D'Angelo Russell averaging 22 points, 7 assists over his last 15. If he's going to be able to keep that up, then this Lakers team, we're quick to write them off, but we saw when the money gets pushed to the center of the table, what's happened in the last 2 meaningful moments. Well, they make it to the Western Conference Finals last year, and then they win the first in-season tournament. So when the going gets tough, the Lakers can get going. And this Warriors team, yes, again, playing very good basketball. Jonathan Kuminga's really been ascending. They're top 10 in both offense and defense since Draymond Green returned from suspension. But the breaks tend to help the older teams, and I know that means the Warriors will get help because they're older, but I think it also helps the Lakers. I think the Lakers are just a better overall team than the Warriors are. So you're giving me 4.5 points here. I think the Lakers are going to go in there and get a job done.
Yeah, I do as well. I think this is a good side of the line. And I want to get your thoughts too, outside of this game, on LeBron talking about how he doesn't have many years left. How many more do you think he's going to play?
It's interesting. So there are a few circumstances or situations to monitor. First of them is Bronny. I don't. When LeBron said all this time that he wanted to play with Bronny before he retired, I don't know if he imagined being as good as he still is. Like LeBron is undoubtedly one of the 12 best players in the world. Very, very high chance. And you know what? I when you consider the importance of the playoffs and everything, then he probably jumps to like top 6, top 7. So LeBron's still way up there. And so does he really want to go to what if Bronny gets drafted by the Toronto Raptors? Does LeBron want to move to a different country with all this business stuff going on? So that would be something to monitor. And then also the potential expansion to the Vegas franchise, because LeBron has not pulled any punches here. Like he is going to own a Vegas basketball team at some point in his life. If the Adam Silver says, "Hey, LeBron, 2026, so that'd be 2 years from now, we're opening the franchise in Vegas." He has to be done with his playing career. And I think he would, because he's not going to play one final year, miss out on the chance to join the ownership, and then just live with that regret forever. So I think those would be the 2 things to monitor. But honestly, the way he's going, I would say he probably has. He could play 6 or 7 more years. But I don't think he's going to play until he's no longer an elite player. So I would probably say 3 more. At the end of that, maybe he's like an 18-7, 18-8 sort of guy, like playing a lot of point guard, turns it on in the playoffs. Not going to be scoring 25 a game, in my opinion, but I think he's got 3 more seasons.
Do you think he's going to play with Bronny?
I don't.
No. You don't think Bronny will come out this year?
Well, let me back up. I think LeBron, I think he's going to stay with the Lakers, but if things get really bad, I think he's going to try to move to a championship contender. And if Bronny is also there, like if they draft him to make him happy, like the Bucks do with Thanasis and Giannis, then they'll play together. But I don't. Again, if Bronny gets drafted by like the Hornets or someone like that, I don't think LeBron's going to follow him there.
Do you think Bronny's getting drafted this year? High? He shouldn't come out.
I think he could get drafted this year, but I would like to see him go back to college.
Yeah, especially if LeBron's going to stay another few years. I mean, wait one more because he's not ready yet.
He's definitely not ready. He's got tools. LeBron could be awesome. I don't see him being an all NBA, all-star type of player. Like I see him being kind of a 3-and-D specialist that has good intelligence, good feel for the game. But I think he can get on the court, but not now. I think he needs more time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Grant, anything else before we wrap up today's show?
No, Tanner, that's it. I'm just happy my favorite sport is back, and you got the MLB coming up. It's exciting times approaching for us.
I can't. Spring training starts in 2 days, so very excited about those games. The ones where we see all the single A guys and we can bet on them. So, anyways, that was Ride the Line, the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. We'll see you on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for another episode.